This is Sunday, July 10th. There are 10 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
BANUHTEE go.
Oh my god, I love LiveJournal, and my LiveJournal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current news like Refuse 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple.
Good evening, all. I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us.
And also joining us tonight, Erin Tapkin.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
All right, so welcome to this special edition of the SDConCast. This is part 2 of our annual Breaking Down the SDCC Schedule series. Part 1 was Friday night. You can check that out either on our replay on YouTube or on our podcast feed. We'll take your comments and questions during the show. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. But to get us started, we're going to talk about a couple of things that are not related to the schedule right now. And Carrie, why don't you let us know what we want to talk about?
Yeah, so before we talk about the programming schedule, I just wanted to get the 2 biggest questions that I've gotten just out of the way so that we can focus on the schedule. And that means, like, please don't fill up our chat asking me about the portal. So we are going to start with the app. The app is not live yet. Currently, it has a screen up that asks you to log in. Nobody has a login. You're not like missing out. It's literally just not live yet. Presumably when it is, that login screen will go away. Now that the full schedule is out, I would expect that app to go live any day now, but it is not currently. Okay. On to the portal. The portal has so many issues. You are not alone in having issues. You are not alone in whatever your specific issue is, but there are many. Some people don't have access. Some people have a weird, like, your name is in the cart. Some people, there's just a ton of things. Are they going to fix it? Presumably, but it's also the weekend. So I don't really know how much they're working this weekend, but presumably they will fix it. I do know that they are aware that people are having issues. But here's the thing. It does not close until Friday at noon. And you don't even know what they're going to add between now and then. And you can't edit your selections after you submit them. So don't worry about submitting them right now. Hopefully they will fix that here in the next day or two. I mean, if it was me, I would probably submit my stuff like Thursday night, Friday morning. So until it's like Friday at 11, don't panic. They know it isn't working. You're not the only one who can't do it. You're not like missing out. And in fact, honestly, by waiting, something you really want might pop up and then you haven't used your points on it. So that's my PSA.
There you go. Okay. Was that the 2 things?
Yep.
Okay. So
Do you feel better? do you think it will help? Do you think we'll still get tons of tweets about it? Probably.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure. Somebody told me I sounded very calm about it, though. So I was like, well, that's
yes,
nice.
that's right. I saw that. You are pretty zen about it.
I mean, there's nothing to do. Like,
Yeah.
It's not working. When is it going to work? I don't know. When they fix it. So.
And one thing we know about Comic-Con is that sometimes they're not super fast about taking care of things.
Yeah.
Or transparent about them.
Yeah.
Or
So,
anything.
like I said, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, then you can panic. Okay.
Yeah.
Until then.
Well,
it
no,
just is
let's
what it
say
is.
Friday at 10 a.m. so you have time to panic longer. You can panic
Okay.
for 2 hours instead
Okay.
of 1 hour.
All right. James will give you that extra hour.
we will open the panic window, allow you to panic, and then we're going to close the panic window.
Yes. Okay. So
On to
now-
the schedule.
Yes.
So we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to cover the major rooms. We're going to cover room flow. We're going to cover which ones we think are the big panels, and then we'll offer some dark horse, smaller room, smaller panel choices that may be a bit of a highlight that you may have missed. So we're going to kick it off Saturday in room 7AB, which seats 480 people. And here we go. The first panel at 10 a.m. is Tortine and MCPG Families of Blood and Magic. And that is featuring Susan Dennard, Aiden Thomas, Liz Huerta, and Namina Forna. They are discussing found and biological families and all the positive negatives that involves. Then we have one of the annual spotlight panels. This time it's on Raina Telgmeyer. And that is her with author illustrator Yehudi Mercado discussing middle-aged memoir, turning real life into memories into entertaining stories, and all of that kind of thing. And then the special guest, another spotlight with this one's at noon with Hidetaki Tenjin. And this is a big deal because I think this is one of his first appearances. I think it might be his first appearance at Comic-Con.
I think so.
But he's got all kinds of cool art and he is going to be, it's his first ever Comic-Con as a guest and an attendee. So he's going to showcase his work. So if you're interested in the stuff he does, definitely check that out. And then at 1 p.m., we have the spotlight on J. Michael Straczynski, who, of course, has written a billion things. And it's basically just a spotlight on him and talking about his stuff. And it says that he's going to give an exclusive briefing on the status of the Babylon 5 revival for the CW, which... Go ahead.
Can I interject for a second? I just want to say he gives a really cool spotlight panel, but I went one time to a spotlight and he was about 20 minutes late, but literally because he stopped a mugging. And it was like, if you're going to be late to your panel, I think that's a pretty good excuse.
Yes, it is. And if you can't make it to this one, I don't know if we have it on the rooms we're doing, but he's going to be doing another panel later in the day. So you'll be able to catch him at either time. This one is just his spotlight, because he's a special guest. He gets one panel for sure. At 2 p.m., we have the Great Graphics Draw Off, and that's from the creators of one of the biggest graphic novels for kids. Are going to do an interactive panel for all ages, and that features Gail Galligan, Pablo Leon, Jamar Nicholas, Shauna J. Grant, and Raina Tugemeyer.
And honestly, if you have middle grade school kids, you're probably going to want to take them to any of the Raina panels. She's just like the biggest thing in middle school graphic novels right now. Every kid that comes into my store looking for her books, saw them in school, read them in school, wants more. So she's a good person to take the young ones.
And she's on a lot of panels. So just search her name
Yep.
on the Eventany and you'll find one that may fit your schedule. Next up at 3 p.m. is Scott Shaw's Oddball Comics, the Superhero Edition, and that's a longtime Comic-Con attendee. Scott Shaw is going to be doing his annual panel. And then at 4:30, we have a look back at the incredible work of Chris Sanders, and that is Chris Sanders doing, basically he's a director, writer, illustrator. He's done things you might have heard of, like Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon and The Croods. So he's going to be talking about his journey through the entertainment industry. And then we have From Story to Screen, Getting Your Project Produced at 5:30. And that is what some people sharing some tips on how to get your IP done and get it made and distributed. And then at 6:30, Bat in the Sun, the popular YouTube series, Super Beatdown creators are going to be there to talk about all the things that they do. And then finally at 7:30 p.m., we have The Art of Black Rifle Coffee, which features Gary Stevens, Chris Hunt, Lenny Miller, and Camber Carroll. And they're talking about the Black Rifle Coffee art department. And it's going to have some, they're going to show off some stuff and then have a Q&A. All right, so this room, I think, might have a few big things going on here, right?
Yeah,
because I think that Tenjin panel is going to be fairly well attended because it's his first ever.
Yes, for sure. And it's a small room. It holds 480, like we said, roughly. The J. Michael Straczynski spotlights are also always well attended. And I think that Chris Sanders panel also might be, but
it's hard to say. On those later ones, I don't think anything's real. I think this is going to be one of those, build rooms that builds up to the Tenjin and Straczynski panels and then kind of just comes and goes for the rest of the day. So if you really want to get in for Tenjin, I'm guessing you're probably going to need to get there pretty early.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would, for both of those, I would probably show up like no later than the start of the previous panel, and maybe even earlier than that. So maybe if you want to see Tenjin, get there while Tour Teen is on from 10 to 11.
Right. That's what I was thinking, yeah. And for Straczynski, I would say you don't need to get there before Tenjin because I think the room would probably clear out a lot after Tenjin. So just be there at least half an hour early, probably during the beginning of the Tenjin panel.
Yeah, I would say the beginning of the tinted panel. I wouldn't, like I said, I've been to 2 of those, and they're always well tinted. So
All right. Okay, so next up we have room 60E, and that's you, Aaron.
Yes, 6DE. That holds 884 folks. They're going to start their panels right away at 10 that morning. The first one is going to be first you march, then you run. Run is the follow-up to John Lewis's best-selling book, March. The artist Nate Powell will be there, along with El Fury, which was Lewis's congressional aide. There's also going to be the late congressman's son, John Miles Lewis. And the panel, I love this part, is going to be followed by a children's march. This also happened when John Lewis was in attendance, but this one will be in tribute to the marches led by Congressman Lewis. After that, at 11:15, it's Wild Storm 30th anniversary. This is going to have Jim Lee, so that's pretty exciting. But some other folks are going to be there too: Alex Sinclair, J. Scott Campbell, very popular. But they're going to be talking about Wildcats, Death Blow, Stormwatch, everything. Even the cliffhanger line of books like Danger Girl and Battle Chasers. It's hard to believe it's been 30 years, but they're going to be celebrating their 30th anniversary. After that, some more comics stuff with DC's Comics Are Fun. This is going to celebrate some of the more wacky, quirky, fun stuff in the DC universe. Daniel Warren Johnson is going to be there. Juan Gideon, Becky Cloonan, Cami Garcia, and Michael Conrad. That sounds like an excellent panel. 1:45, we've got Boom Studios taking over. Matt Kent, who's doing the Berserker book with Keanu Reeves, is going to be there. Christopher Cantwell. You're going to get a whole look at what Boom has got coming up in the next. Plus, and their Kaboom, their kids' titles too. They're going to be talking about that. And an extra special sneak peek at some of the top secret stuff. So some things we haven't heard about yet, they're going to be revealing them. After that, from 3 to 4, it's Dark and Stormy, horror and noir comics. One of my favorite folks is going to be there, Jock. We also have Steve Niles, Scott Snyder, Michael Conrad, Lorena Alvarez. If you like spooky horror stuff, that's going to be the place to be, and moderated by Jaslyn Stone. At 4:15, we've got Legion M and how fans are disrupting Hollywood by equity crowdfunding. Some of the Legion M executives, Jeff Aniston, Terry Luberoff, and David Baxter are going to be there. Also, actor Sean Astin's going to be there from the Goonies, and they're also going to have some special video messages from some of their folks too. Visualizing the Batman is at 5:30, and that's going to be I don't even know how to describe it. I was trying to read this one earlier, and I was like, these are all words I don't even know. Visualization artists that help define the look of Gotham that you saw in Reeves' Batman.
It's basically like special effects and that kind of stuff.
Yes, I think taking artwork into making it from flat artwork into screen artwork. It sounds
it's a lot of the previs kind of stuff. Yes.
And after that, 6:45, Dark Knights and Daydreams from Batman to Broadway. And let's see, we've got Batman franchise producer Michael Uslan, Broadway producer Don France. They're going to be discussing how Batman was portrayed as a campy joke in the 1960s television series. And Uslan wanted to show the world the dark and serious vigilante. So they're going to be talking a little bit about that. A lot of really good people on that panel, and a special video message from director Lonnie Price, screenwriter Alan Zweibel. Sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, and that's moderated by somebody we know that we've had here on the podcast, right?
Yeah, Gary Marinu. And then I just wanted to point out, for anybody who loves theater like I do, Robert Netterlander is also actually part of that video message, which is kind of wild to me, but that's cool.
Good stuff. So it's a whole day of good comic stuff. So what do you guys think?
The room flow? Well, I think the big panel of the day is probably going to be Wildstorm.
With Jim Lee, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah. With Lee and Campbell, and basically like most of the guys who made Wildstorm massive back in the early mid 90s.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big deal because I mean they're all still doing stuff today and still popular today. So I mean, if I had the time, I would go to that panel just because I remember the days of getting those comics and just like to see those people talk about them and how they made those things. It was a wild time back then, that's for sure.
And they do tease perhaps a surprise guest or surprise or two. So I'm
Well,
going to keep my fingers crossed.
I guess we'll see.
Stuff, yes.
But other than that, I think that it's going to be a lot of turnover kind of a day. A lot of people coming and going, but it is heavy on the comics. So if you're a comics fan, this is definitely a good room that you could probably camp in for a few hours and get a lot of good comics content.
And I do want to mention too that at 1:45 at that Boom Studios panel with Matt Kent, that would be a very good opportunity for any Bad Idea fans to take advantage of Bad Idea's little gimmick that they have going on, that to receive a free comic from Matt Kent. You have to shout at him, but go for it if you really want to.
That's funny.
If you're worried about finding Matt Kent, he's going to be at this panel.
All right. So next up, we have room 6A, which seats 1,040. And that kicks off at 10 a.m. with Disney's The Ghost and Molly McGee fan inhapification panel. And that's the creators and executive producers, Bill Motz and Bob Roth, and executive producer Steve Loader. And they're basically just going to talk about the first season and hint at what's to come in season 2. And then at 11:15, we have Entertainment Weekly's Game Changers, which does not have a guest list yet, but it is.
I was just going to say real quick. So traditionally, the TV Guide and the Entertainment Weekly panels, when they're announced, they won't have guest lists. Traditionally, though, both those entities will eventually announce the guest list. So just keep an eye on our site for we'll update once we
probably sometime this week.
Yeah,
most likely. Now that the schedule's out and we know who's going and who they're going to pull in to do them. So, but this particular one, because there's a few different ones run by both TV Guide and Entertainment Weekly. And this particular one is it profiles people and projects making an impact in diversity, equity, and inclusion in entertainment. Next up at 12:30, we have the Storytellers of Apple TV Plus, and this is going to feature Ronald D. Moore, Simon Kinberg, Jonathan Tropper, Megan Gans, and they're all going to talk to Dominic Patton about the creating unique worlds of their series and share exclusive sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. And it looks like they'll also have a video message from David S. Goyer on the set of season 2 of Foundation. So that's going to be pretty cool. And because, I mean, it's basically the guys in charge of some of the best shows on Apple TV Plus talking about their shows.
Yep.
At 1:45, we have Marvel Comics Judgment Day, and that's with editors Nick Lowe and C.B. Cebulski, including artists and creators such as Adam Kubert and David Pepose. And they're going to be talking about, the next big thing, which is Judgment Day. And, not necessarily the next big thing, because that's actually the next big panel, which is Marvel Comics' next big thing. And that's, again, with some of the same people, Cebulski and Lowe, and features Darren Shan and Lauren Bysum, along with Christopher Cantwell, Ram V, Colin Kelly, and Jackson Lansing. And they're going to talk about what's up ahead for some characters like Shang-Chi, Miss Marvel, Ant-Man, Ghost Rider, and the rest of the Marvel Universe. And then up after that at 4:15 is The End Is Nigh with Bill Nye. And he's back with another science disaster series with co-creator Seth MacFarlane and Brandon Braga. And he's going to be talking about that. And it looks like Brandon Braga and Erica Huggins will also be joining him on the panel. At 5:30, we have First Look at Knights of the Zodiac, and that's from Toei Animation and Soy Pictures Worldwide. And they're going to be first to experience Knights of the Zodiac, a live-action feature film inspired by the classic 80s manga and anime series. And it's going to feature a ton of people who have made the movie. And they're going to talk about it and give some behind-the-scenes footage. It looks like Madison Iceman, Diego Tinoco, Yoshi Ikazawa, Thomas Baginski, Andy Chang, and the 10 Cloverfield Lane screenwriters Josh Campbell and Matt Stukin. At 6:45, we have Hamster and Gretel, the new Disney Channel series, and that's going to feature the creator Dan Povenmire and some other people to talk about that new series. And then at 8 p.m. will be the Masquerade simulcast if you don't make it into the room. Or if you just don't want to be in that particular room and want to just watch it on a screen, then you can come into this room and watch the simulcast.
Yep. All right.
So what are we doing here? I mean, is it going to be
Well,
crowded?
I think that Entertainment Weekly panel will depend entirely upon who is on it.
Right.
So we can't answer that question right now, but I feel like that Bill Nye panel will be well attended. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think it's going to be like crazy, but if I wanted to go to that, I would probably get there at least 30 minutes early, maybe even an hour. And then I also feel like I've seen quite a few people talking about that Knights of the Zodiac on social.
And you gotta expect that there will be a decent amount of fans going for the Apple TV thing. But also the Marvel stuff, because Marvel, and even on one of the panels, they announced that they are doing a giveaway. So if enough people see that and they want to, pick up a Marvel thing, it's going to get crowded because people will be like, oh, free stuff. Plus, I get to find out about, Marvel stuff that's coming up. So it's going to have all the Marvel fans and people who want to get a freebie. So just be aware that this may be crowded. So if you're worried about any particular panel, do what we always say.
At least an hour.
Yeah. Pay attention to social media. This room is only 1,000 people, so it's got a decent amount, but you never know. So an hour. And
if something on here like is really important for you to go to, I would show up an hour early. And then like James was saying, just keep an eye on social media. I mean, we'll be posting room updates all weekend long. If you are in a room and you see the lines getting long, feel free to tweet us. Like, we love that. We appreciate that.
Yep. Help everyone else out with what room you're in and tweet us with line updates or room updates that they're full.
Yeah,
that's always helpful for everybody. Next up, we have room 6BCF, which is Carrie.
It is me. Okay, so we kick things off at 10:30 a.m. with the 20th anime anniversary of Naruto, which includes some of the voice actors, including Amanda C. Miller, Tom Gibbous. Joining them all is basketball star Jordan Brand and athlete and hardcore Naruto fan Zion Williamson. And basically, you'll get a free limited edition Naruto poster. So that's cool, but it'll just be a look back at 20 years of Naruto. And then at 11:45 is the annual quick draw panel, which Mark Evanier always hosts. Scott Shaw is on it again. Unfortunately, it looks like Sergio Aragonés is not here this year. So that's okay though. Instead, it is Lalo Alcaraz and Mike Cazzola. And basically, it's just a really fun panel. You shout out what you want them to draw, and they draw, and it's zany and fun. 1 p.m. is Cartoon Voices #1. There's another panel on Sunday, but this is also just another zany panel hosted by Mark Evanier that happens every year. And this year, they have a whole bunch of voice actors, including Alkin Packard, Phil Lamar, Greg Berger, Shelby Young, Brian Hull, Townsend Coleman, and again, that's just a good time. At 2:45 is Fox's Propopolis, which will have creator Dan Harmon, some of the executive producers, and then voice actors Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows, Pam Murphy, and Duncan Trussell. So if you maybe aren't going, maybe you're leaving the con early and not staying for Sunday, which some people do. If you want to see one of the What We Do in the Shadows actors, this is also another cool chance to do that. I know Dan Harmon has a following. At 4 p.m. is also Conjuring Kesha, Supernatural Talk with the global pop superstar. And yes, it is that Kesha, who will be there with some of her famous friends to explore the supernatural in Conjuring Kesha, an all-new docu-series from Discovery Plus. She is there in person, and they will be giving fans a sneak peek, and that should be wild. At 5:15 is NBA Players Are Anime Fans Too, when Sacramento Kings' Aaron Fox shows up to talk about his comic Swipe the Fox. At 6:30 p.m. is AEW Heroes and Villains, which will have a whole bunch of AEW folks, including CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Debbie Allen, Orange Cassidy, and Bryan Danielson. They'll be taking the stage to look at AEW. And that's it for the day.
So I want to talk about a question that someone asked in the, David V asked, is Jordan Brand actually Michael Jordan? That's his brand, and it's bolded. There is no person named Jordan Brand. that's a basketball player.
Okay.
So is that actually Michael Jordan that's going to be there?
I do not know.
We don't know. But if it is, and it comes out, that's going to be a big deal. And I would expect that panel to be slightly well attended.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
So anyway, Quick Draw is heavily attended every year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people that always follow that one. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So Quick Draw.
They make it fun.
Quick Draw and Cartoon Voices, honestly, I would say line up at least an hour early before those. Both of those always have a very long line. Honestly, maybe even an hour and a half. If you want to make sure you're going to do it, you can definitely not just like show up to that and walk in. Both of those, yeah. Because they happen every year. I mean, like they have a huge following. They're a lot of fun. So.
And what's the deal with Kesha being at Comic-Con?
That's wild to me, but yeah. And who even knows who some of her famous friends are? Like, that could be anything.
Right.
So that could wind up being like an amazing panel.
So basically, this is like if you're an NBA fan or a Kesha fan, this is your day.
Or a wrestling fan.
Or a wrestling fan. This is like your day to get in and see some people, apparently. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, yes, this is going to be busy. Get there early for your panels. I would expect there to be some kind of, there's got to be at least someone in the thousands of attendees going to Comic-Con who know who Kesha is and would be willing to line up for a panel to see her, which this is a 2,000 seat room. So I'm not sure it's going to be that big of a deal. But any one of these, I would say yes, for sure. Get there an hour early for your panel, at least until near the end of the day. Any of those first 4 or 5 panels. And if we do find out that that's Michael Jordan, that would be crazy. I Googled Jordan Brand, and there is no one named Jordan Brand except for it's a signature shoe and athletic wear brand owned and created by Michael Jordan. So who knows?
Never know. Never know with Comic-Con. Wilder things have happened.
All right, so we're going to move on to
the Indigo Ballroom.
Indigo, yes.
And Indigo Ballroom is over at the Hilton Bayfront. And it's got room for 2,663 folks. And right away at 10 in the morning, it's the Cartoon Network Winner Takes All. Be the first in line to test your knowledge of all things Cartoon Network. This panel is going to cover multiple shows, not just any one show. And the most discerning fans are going to be quizzed on their favorite series for a chance to unlock first looks, sneak peeks, and inside scoop. Some of the cast and crew from Craig of the Creek are going to be there. Teen Titans Go, including Tara Strong, voice of Raven, Carrie Payton, voice of Cyborg. Tons of people. Tons of great people. And it sounds like fun. It just sounds like a good time. I like the interactive stuff. I don't know if it's ever if it's as popular as the drawing panels, but it does sound like fun to me. 12:30 to 1:30, TV Guide Magazine's fan favorites. This is another one that hasn't announced anyone specifically that's going to be there, but it gathering the official magazine of television gathers an array of stars. Let's see, 1:45, Lasting Legacy in Hollywood. A pop culture speaker, Jessica Sang, is going to be discussing with her special guests, which have not yet been announced, their journey in the entertainment industry. 3 o'clock, we have Unlikely Hero, Unrecognized Powers. This is Reginald the Vampire, which is a book series that is also going to be a new sci-fi series coming in October. There stars Jacob Batalon, Mandela Van Peebles, M. Hain, and Savannah Baisley. Also a showrunner Harley Payton and producers Jeremiah Chechik and Lindsay McAdam. And it's being moderated by the author of the book series, Fat Vampire, which is what the series is based on. 4:15 to 5:15, Sci-Fi Resident Alien, and kind of looks like the whole cast is going to be there. Alan Tudyk, Sarah Tomko, Corey Reynolds. Yeah, it sounds like a whole bevy of people, but they're going to be looking into the season 2 return, which is of the show Resident Alien, which should be out on Sci-Fi on August 10th. After that, world premiere of Peacock's The Resort. Creator Andy Ciara, who also created Palm Springs, is being joined by the cast members Kristen Milotti, who was also in Palm Springs, also William Jackson Harper from The Good Place. And they're going to be doing a special screening as well as a conversation about the premiere. And lastly, in that room, 6:45, back with a vengeance, Chucky. And this is a behind the scenes look at season 2, which should be coming back in October on USA and Sci-Fi. And the creator, executive producer, Don Mancini joins the voice of iconic killer doll, which is Brad Dourif, who is one of my favorite character actors. And it also says surprise guests. And that's it for that day.
All right, let's talk room flow. Yeah. So what do we think is going to be the big panels in the day? And obviously with TV Guide, it will again just depend on who is on the panel.
Yeah. So that's the big thing is depending on who gets on that panel, will basically mess up the entire day, at least at the beginning for, getting there early. If you want to get there early and see a few different things, it's really only going to mess up what's before it, Cartoon Network. If a bunch of people want to go to Cartoon Network, but then they announce some big stars for the TV Guide, it's going to have a lot of people, crowding that in. So if you want to go see Cartoon Network and then you hear some really big names are announced for the TV Guide panel, then you're just going to have to adjust when you're getting there to earlier.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think you really would need to worry about it too much.
No. And I don't think you need to worry too much about anything else, honestly, in this room. I think TV Guide is basically, depending upon who they announce, I think that's going to be the panel.
Based on how many people, are just commenting how much they like Resident Alien. But the problem is, of course, is that it's on Sci-Fi and it's probably got a smaller audience than some of the other shows, but it still seems to be very popular. And Alan Tudyk is very popular. I
mean, he's got a huge following just in and of himself.
So if you're worried about Resident Alien, again, keep an eye on Twitter, but I would say, show up an hour early if you're really worried. But otherwise, I think that one to get in the room, I think will be not a problem. So, go from there. And then of course, Chucky is very popular, but
it's also late.
It's late. So I would expect that to not be too hard to get into.
I don't think so. Yeah. And we are just putting out into the universe that we would like the 10 Fish to be Chucky this year. Yes. All right. Let's move on to Ballroom 20, which kicks off things at 10:15 a.m. with Evil, with an exclusive screening and panel. The series is heading into its 3rd season, and you will get an exclusive sneak peek at an episode and a panel with stars Katja Herbers, Mike Coulter, Asif Manvi, Christine Lottie, and Kurt Fuller. And then at 11:30 it kicks off basically the many hours of Fox animation, which at 11:30 starts with The Simpsons, where they will give you a sneak peek at the new Treehouse of Horror and Never Before Attempted bonus Halloween episode. At 12:30 is American Dad, which will have Scott Grimes, Dee Bradley Baker, Jeff Fisher, and some of the producers. You'll also get a first look at an all-new episode. At 1:15 is Family Guy, and you again will get an exclusive first look at an episode. And then at 2 p.m. is Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, which is the new show coming to AMC, based obviously on the book. They are bringing cast. I don't see them listed here. I feel like we know the cast.
For Anne Rice's The Vampire?
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can look it up really quick.
I also wanted to mention for Evil, they just get announced that their 4th season has been greenlit. So maybe that one's gonna be fairly popular because of actually being a continuing series.
Yes. Okay. So the cast members for Interview with the Vampire are Sam Reed, Jacob Anderson, Bailey Bass, and Eric Bogosian. But yeah, that's from 2 to 2:45. At 3 p.m. is The Orville on Hulu, which is bringing a whole lot of cast, including Penny Johnson, Gerald, Scott Grimes, Peter Macon, Jessica Shore, Jay Lee, Ann Winters, Mark Jackson, and Chad L. Coleman, along with some of the producers for a first look at an upcoming episode from season 3. At 4 p.m. is Mythic Quest, when Rob McElhenney becomes the second It's Always Sunny cast member for the week, and it still makes no sense to me. There's no It's Always Sunny panel, but that's just me. He will be joined by co-creator and fellow showrunner Megan Gans, executive producer and star David Hornsby, and cast members Charlotte Nickdow, Danny Pudi, Imani Hakim, Jesse Ennis, and Ashley Birch to dive into the third season. At 5 p.m. is Critical Role, which has Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Ashley Johnson, Taliesin Jafe, Liam O'Brien, Travis William, and Laura Bailey. And then at 8 p.m. there's a break between those. At 8 p.m. is the Masquerade, which is basically the annual costume contest. At Comic-Con, you had to have signed up to enter that. It's a really big deal. Tickets will be available starting at 3 p.m. People definitely line up for that one, but it's a very different system. You have to have a ticket basically to go. They will sell out of the tickets, but if they do, you can go watch the Overflow and some of the other places we mentioned that have it on a screen.
So is Ballroom 20 going to fill up on Saturday?
I think it for sure will for Critical Role. I think that will be very well attended. I love Mythic Quest. Again, I don't know how much other people do. And because Critical Role is after that, I think that one may also require at least a little bit of a wait. I feel like the Fox animation stuff, because it is in Giant Ballroom 20, I feel like that's usually not that hard to get into. Someone correct me if you
I don't think so. I think the only time that it's really packed, because it does have a significant number of fans, but the only time it's really packed is when something is coming after it that's also really popular.
Yes.
So I would expect that the room will not start full for the day and slowly fill up.
Yes.
And then be full by the time probably maybe around the Orville.
Yes, that sounds right to me. I feel like there's a lot more crossover as well between like the Orville and Mythic Quest than some of the other stuff. But
so if you want Critical Role, I would say you need to probably get there during Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
And have to sit through a couple panels. And then, if you don't watch Orville or Mythic Quest, you get a good look at those and see if you like them.
Yeah, to me, Critical Role is going to be the one that like drives everybody there, because that Critical Role is huge. It's been in smaller rooms before at the convention and like packed to the gills with a long line. So yeah.
Well, good for them for getting a bigger room then. Good for Comic-Con
yes.
for putting them in.
They got a nice room upgrade here. Yes.
And as for the Masquerade, Damian Shaw in the comments says that you can get into it without a ticket. You just have to wait for all the ticket holders to go in first. And he's always been able to go without a ticket because it doesn't quite fill up. They may sell out of tickets, but not everyone shows up because people will grab a ticket in case they can make it, and then they don't. So just if you want to get into the room where it happens, obviously you can. Just you have to wait in line. If you want to just make sure you want to just be able to watch it, again, there's that replay or the live simulcast room that they do.
Yeah. And then James out in the chat asked, do you think 30 minutes before Evil is fine? I mean, yeah, I do. I like James said, I don't think this room is going to start full.
All right. I guess we're moving on to the big room of the day then, which is Hall H, which is madness. And I got 95% right. I just didn't have a panel, and the order was wrong, but I guessed everything that was going to be in here. So yay me.
Yes, toot your own horn there, James.
Yeah.
But yes,
hey, when I'm right, I like
very well.
I'm right every once in a while, like once a year, twice a year.
Is it Nostradamus or James?
James
Stradamus. Yes, that's it.
Yes.
Yep.
James
Strikes
Stradamus
again.
got this. Yes, very, very close.
Even a clock is right twice a day. A broken clock is right twice a day. So,
all right, James.
So
tell us
Hall H
what's in Hall
seats
H,
6,500. First up, we have Warner Brothers Theatrical, which we already know is going to feature Black Adam and Shazam, with Dwayne Johnson and Zachary Levi both being there, along with other cast members. They've announced a few cast members for each, but that may not be all they bring. There is an and more tagged on there.
And I feel like the fact that this all started with Pierce Brosnan like sharing a video to me suggests that Pierce Brosnan will probably be there.
You would hope
be
so.
Amazing. Oh, that'd be super
It's like,
cool.
the first reveal of this coming from Pierce Brosnan is crazy.
Yes, but the fact that he is the one who like announced it, basically, like, surely.
So, but the other thing and more at the end there leads me to believe that they may also do some like teaser things of things and not actually have full panels. But I would expect there to be, since it is an hour long, I would expect 20 to 30 minutes each for Black Adam and Shazam, and then something else for the last few minutes probably.
Yeah.
And then 11:30 we have the hot D of Comic-Con, House of the Dragon. And
we're gonna make this catch on. We are.
Yeah, it's going. The hot D and the SDCC. So it's going to be George R.R. Martin and other basically the executive types, Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik, and then a bunch of actors like Patty Considine, Matt Smith, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, Steve Toussaint, Eve Best, Fabian Frankel, Bram McTavish, Millie Alcock, Emily Carey. So many people. This is basically HBO doing what they used to do for Game of Thrones and bringing out their big panel and just living it up in Hall H. Then at 12:45, we have the Star Trek Universe panel, which just got revealed everything that's going to be there a few days before. And that's going to be for Picard, Lower Decks, and Strange New Worlds. And you can expect that they're going to bring out quite a few cast members, I would expect, because they had quite a few cast members when they did this panel in 2019.
Yep.
They brought out basically the entire cast of Picard almost. And the next season of Picard is going to have more TNG folks. And I think we know for sure that Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart for sure are going to be there.
Yeah, they were both listed in the
press release.
In the press release. I think Anson Mount was also listed.
Anson Mount for Strange New Worlds. So, but I would expect them to bring more than just the few people they listed. I think it's just whoever can make it, and it's going to be more than what they said. I think, but they also did reveal quite a few people, which is not on the Comic-Con schedule. So then at 2:30, we have the Sandman special video presentation and Q&A. This will feature some portion of the Sandman series. It may be like a sizzle reel. It may be a few minutes of one of the episodes. It just says it's a special video presentation followed by a Q&A with series stars and producers. And I think we know some of the stars that are going to be there. Did they reveal any of those? I mean, Jenna Coleman essentially posted on Instagram that she's going to be there. So we know at least Jenna Coleman and a few others.
Yeah. A few people leaked it themselves or announced it themselves.
Yeah.
So I would expect Neil Gaiman is going to be there because he is one of the showrunners and, of course, the guy who wrote the comic originally. Then they're probably going to have a selection of, because WB again likes to bring out and do some pretty decent stuff for their panels. So I would expect this to actually be a pretty big deal, especially being in Hall H.
Yeah.
And then the one panel I didn't guess right, and I should have, which is 3:45, the Entertainment Weekly Bold School panel. They always do a panel in the middle of the day in Hall H on Saturday. And this is going to be the new Bold School series, which is for power players in the entertainment industry, share anecdotes about life lessons and how they found their voice and how to pay it forward. We do not know who's going to be in this yet, but again, they should announce that sometime in the next week or so. Usually, and almost always, they announce it before the actual convention, so you can make up your mind whether you want to attend this or not. But if you're already going to be in the Hall H, this is not the panel that you would make your choice to decide to go to and then not go to anything else. So I don't think it really matters who's going to be on this panel.
Nope, don't think it's going to make a difference, like at all.
Anyway, and then at 5 p.m., the one that, of course, will fill up the room, not that any of the others wouldn't, is Marvel Studios, and Kevin Feige and special guests will provide an inside look at the ever-expanding cinematic universe. And I'm guessing, and we've all guessed, that it's going to be the next couple of movies and some Disney Plus shows that they're going to single out.
I mean, James Gunn pretty much already confirmed he's going. I mean, I think, just look at I think we're all expecting Guardians and Black Panther and a little bit of Disney TV and maybe something else. Yeah.
And since Feige has announced that over the next few months, during the Thor press tour, he announced that over the next couple of months, we're going to find out more about what's coming up with Phase 4 and what the whole point of it all is. If they do not actually announce it at Comic-Con, they're going to have some of the more teasing that it's going to be, and then they'll reveal the actual point of it at D23. But I think we're going to get something pretty good at Comic-Con, because there's no way that they wouldn't. If they're coming because they have something to show off.
Yes,
they're not coming just to do a panel.
Someone, I think it was Collider, even asked him point blank, like, can we expect big things from Comic-Con? And he said yes.
There you go.
So, yeah.
And then finally, the annual Kevin Smith panel at 6:30, which is titled "A Panel with Kevin Smith." And let's see if Comic-Con tweets out a version of this panel description, and then Kevin Smith gets mad about it again this year, like they did in 2019.
I think it was more
Or was it
recent
during-
than that.
It was
even.
It was during lockdown, wasn't it? WonderCon?
Was
Yeah.
it
Special
one,
edition, yeah.
special
it was
edition, one of the two.
those.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, Kevin Smith, hour and a half. He'll answer like 3 questions, and it'll be fun and awesome because Kevin Smith is a great entertainer at answering questions and talking a lot. So if you like Kevin Smith, you know what this is all about, and you're going to be there.
All right. Well, here's what I can say. I think you can probably walk into Kevin Smith, and not the rest.
That's about it. This is going to require an extensive amount of waiting in line to get in because, and this is what happens every year that Marvel is at the end of the day, it fills up and it doesn't change. I mean, you can expect somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 people the entire day coming and going out of that room. And
for the people who are brand new to this and maybe don't understand, they don't empty Hall H or any of the rooms between.
Nope. No.
So I'm sure there are some people that are like, I just want to get in to see, Hot D, or I just want to get in to see Sandman. This is going to be a commitment fight, no matter what.
It's going to be a very serious commitment. So let's go over the Hall H wristband process again, James, in case people didn't listen to the last one.
Okay, so you have to be in line by a certain time, and I think it's 9:15 the night before on Friday, I think is the time. They're going to start handing out the wristbands for Saturday. And what that means is that as they go through, they're going to hand out about 6,000 wristbands for the people that are going to go in and are basically guaranteed to get in for the first panel of the day. Once you're in the room for the first panel of the day, you can stay there all day until Marvel or Kevin Smith. You can stay there the entire day. They don't clear the room. So the wristband is just to get you in. You have to be in line to get the wristband the night before. And then until they hand them out, it's sometime in the middle of the morning, typically. It'll take them hours to hand them all out. And then if you leave the line, you have to be back by 7:30 in order to be guaranteed in with that wristband. You have to go back to the back of the line, of the wristbanded line, but you're going to get in.
So if you don't care where you're sitting,
right,
you don't have to stick around.
Go home, go back to your hotel and sleep. You don't have to sleep out in order to get into the thing. You just have to be back before 7:30. If you do want to make sure you get to a certain place, like if you're, in A and you want to get near the front of the room, then you're going to have someone or yourself hold the spot in line, and you're going to have to stay there overnight in order to hold the spot.
Okay, so on to the next part of this conversation. So just because they start handing wristbands out at, let's say, 9:15 p.m. does not mean that's what time the line starts. This line will start maybe Tuesday. Quite honestly. Yeah.
And that's for the people who want to get at the front of the room. If you do not care about the front of the room, which is really what we are concerned about getting in, when do you think you need to be in this line? Because I'm thinking it's going to be sometime.
As soon as they allow you to line up.
I feel like normally this is like a 24-hour lineup kind of thing. Don't you think?
Sometime early Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you were not in line by like Friday morning, you were probably not getting into this. And for anybody who's not been to Comic-Con before, like, we're not kidding.
Yep.
So again, what most people do is they work in a group, people take shifts, that kind of thing. But yeah,
Because
I mean,
one person can hold the line for how many
up
people?
5,
A total
up to
of
5 people.
So for 4 other people.
No, they
No,
can
for
hold
5.
the spot. Yeah. So it, like if I'm sitting there and
Mm.
it's just me, 5 other people can like come and join me when they
Okay,
start.
so
handing out
one person
wristbands.
equals 6 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could equal 6, up to 6 people.
And of course, again, this all means that you just have to judge what time commitment you're willing to put in for getting into the room. I mean, if you honestly do not care about where you sit in the room, you just want in, then just judge how long the line is, from social media, or go check it out first thing in the morning on Friday and say, look, it's already this long, and it's going to be spread out at first. So it's going to look way longer than it actually is. But if it's like down to the Seaport Village, I mean, you're going to probably want to get in line because that's really long.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to address something because I see several people in the chat very mistakenly saying that you can't, that like, because it's the next day line and not the next day line, that like you can't start lining up earlier than Friday morning. Like, that's not true. James?
What?
I mean, how? Like I said, people are saying that because it's marked as the next day line that you could only start lining up like the day before the panel, but that's not really how that works.
No.
So they're saying that you can't line up Thursday
Yeah,
for a Saturday panel.
Yes.
You can only line up Friday.
that's not how
But
that works.
That is not what people do. People
Yeah.
will
No.
line up when they feel like lining up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just going to happen.
Yeah,
Yep. Unofficial lines sometimes become official lines.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even if it doesn't state that, I mean, this is like exactly what it said every single year that they've done this, and it's the same thing every single year. Like somebody just said they yelled at people in 2019. I mean, they can yell again, but they've never really enforced that, so I don't see it starting this year. So again, just be aware that if you want to make it into Saturday, you probably need to be in line by Friday morning, or someone in your group does. So
right. And this is the I mean, Saturday Hall H is really the reason that line groups and such were formed. And so gather up some friends who also want to go, plan it out when you're going to take shifts. And just, if you want to still do some things on Friday in the show itself, definitely get some friends to help out and take some turns. I mean, it's really the only way that really works. Otherwise, you're going to lose a day. And that's, I mean, I've done it before. It's not fun, waiting for that Star Wars panel in 2015. It took somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 hours out of my con just, for my shifts of waiting in line. And it's lame, but it's the way that the show works. And there's nothing that they don't like it. I mean, obviously, with the whole way that they set it up with the next day line, they don't want you waiting with the wristbands and everything. Their goal is to make you not wait in line. But people want to wait in line because they want in that room and they want the front of the room. And that's what's going to happen.
Yep. All right. Well, that's Saturday. Let's talk about our dark horse picks, which these are basically some smaller panels that we just want to mention and make sure you guys know they're aware because they're cool. Erin, why don't you actually start us off?
Yeah, I can do that. I only picked one this time, and this is a
Great one.
yes, a good one at 3:30 p.m. in room 24 ABC. This is the 6th time they've done this panel, but this is the bold voice of contemporary horror. So if you are liking any of the stuff that A24, Shudder, any of those folks are doing, if you appreciate the rise in horror television and the rise in streaming options on streaming services, this is probably going to be a pretty good panel for you to be at. It says they're going to be featuring exclusive footage from standout festival titles, courtesy of IFC Midnight, Shudder, and A24. So I think it sounds great for horror fans.
It does. Well, and I mean, like the fact that there's some really cool stuff, like from some big movies, and they're giving away.
Oh, there is a
stuff.
giveaway. Yes, a giveaway from Blumhouse. That's correct.
Yes, there's a giveaway from that. I mean, they've got people from Malignant and other things. Like, yeah, this is just, it's going to be a really cool panel, I think.
And it's a small room.
Yes,
It's
a very small room. Yes. So if you are into horror movies, check this out. But I would probably get there early.
Get there early. So that's my dark horse panel.
All right. James, do you want me to go or you want to go?
Go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to mention, because I think it's cool, that Nicole Byer is going to be at the con from Nailed It, which I really enjoy, doing a podcast with John Gabris for a live episode of Headgum's Newcomers podcast. And that will be, they will be discussing Thor Love and Thunder with a special guest. But that will be at 4 p.m. at the library. And then I'm just
Do you think this guest is going to be Korg or Neek? Who's it going to be? Come
I
on.
don't know, but I hope it's fun. But she's just really funny. So I think that would be really cool to go to. And then I just wanted to mention, for anybody who's a fan of X-Men or X-Men the Animated Series, there are two really cool panels happening this day. The first is X-Men the Animated Series 30th Anniversary from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the library with Eric Lewald, the showrunner and writer, Larry Houston, the producer and director, Julia Lewald, a writer, Dan Wiesenmeyer, a storyboard artist who also has a booth on the show floor and who you should go check out, and Lenore Zan, the voice actress of Rogue. And then at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. in rooms Grand 10 and 11, there's an X-Men fandom panel, which also has Lenore Zan, the voice of Rogue, artist Ken Lashley, toy influencer Shardamus Prime, and more. And at that one, you will get a free print by Larry Houston. And I know that X-Men fandom panel has been well attended and full. So for both of those, honestly, I would probably show up an hour or two early.
Okay. So for me, I have a few again, because I always have a few. I'm annoying like that. And first up, I would like to mention the CGC grading standards in room 23 ABC at 11 a.m. This is the president of CGC, Matt Nelson, is just going to talk about what goes into creating the grading standards and how those books get graded and what kind of defects are. So if you're interested in slabbed comics and what goes into how they're valued, then this is probably a good thing to see.
This is a great panel for people who are tired of getting like 7.0s and 8.0s back from CGC. And they want to know, how can I get that 9.8? This is good.
Have a perfect comic.
Yep.
In 23 ABC also at 4 p.m. is Spotlight on Phil Lamar, who of course does tons of voices. And this will be moderated, actually, well, it says interrogated by Mark Evanier. So that should be a lot of fun. And then we have at 9 p.m. So who knows what's going to happen here, because this is Patricia Sweeney Kaufman will be joined by surprise guests in celebration of the legendary career of Lloyd Kaufman, the president of Troma and, of course, creator of the Toxic Avenger. And this says, it says surprise guests. And don't we know that James Gunn will be in town for Guardians of the Galaxy, and James Gunn got his start at Troma Films. So if they can convince James Gunn to come on down at 9 o'clock at night, you never know who may show up. I know, James Gunn did put Lloyd Kaufman in Guardians of the Galaxy. So
that's true.
So you never know.
Yeah. It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
I'm not saying it will happen.
It's a possibility. Maybe not a probability,
Again, one of those,
but a possibility.
throw it out into the universe and
Yes.
see what happens kind of a thing. And then there's a two-part thing, which is the Rocketeer is celebrating the 40th anniversary. And there will be a Rocketeer panel featuring a ton of people first thing in the morning at 10 a.m. at 29 AB. It's going to have a ton of people, including his sister, Jennifer Bauckham, his studio mate, William Stout, his former wife and model, Brink Stevens, screenwriter Danny Bilson, artist Jim Silk, director of a documentary about him called Kevin Mao, and longtime friend Jackie Estrada, and moderated by Mark Evanier. The documentary is called Dave Stevens Drawn to Perfection. And if you go to that panel, you will see all these people talking about it. And then later that day at 8 p.m. at night in the same room, you'll be able to see that documentary. And then the other one I wanted to mention is the Fleischer Cartoons panel in 28DE at 3 p.m. This one features Fleischer historian and author Ray Pointer, and Max Fleischer's granddaughter, Jane Fleischer, will be there to present brand new HD restorations of a bunch of Fleischer cartoons, which of course is the company that did all of those old cartoons back in the 30s and stuff about with Superman and Betty Boop and Popeye and all those. So there are going to be HD restorations of a bunch of those, which I think is pretty cool. And I think, is that it from my list that I wrote down? I think that's it. Yeah. So there you go. A lot of cool stuff. I mean, we'll talk about it later. I'll mention it later. But let's move on to Sunday.
Okay. Well,
Or
hold
do we
on.
want to answer some questions? Do we want to answer any questions?
We've had a bunch of people in the chat talking about the Hall H line and when it actually starts. So I just kind of want to recap that. So several folks have said basically like, yeah, sure, you could be in the area and just like wander. They just wouldn't let you like stand still. And then at 6 a.m. they planted a flag and everybody just kind of rushed it. So I mean that will probably happen. And yes, like I mean when we say like people started lining up on Wednesday, I mean like there are people who just wander that area.
It's the circling sharks theory, you know, they're just waiting to pounce.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see any other questions?
Headless of Ned Stark has a good question about all of the main rooms we're talking about.
Are all of the main rooms we're talking about in the convention center besides Indigo? Correct. The only ones we mentioned that aren't are the dark horse ones in the library.
Yes.
Everything else so far, yeah, all the 6s and 7s and ballroom 20s and hall H's, those are all in the convention center.
Yes, that's not entirely accurate though, because no, the X-Men fandom panel is also in the Marriott. I mentioned, but
okay.
Yes. So yeah, so
but all the main ones.
All the main rooms are in the convention center, except for Indigo, obviously, which is over at Bayfront. But Marriott has several ballrooms that they hold panels in. I think new this year, because I certainly don't remember ever seeing it, is that the Omni also has panels.
Yes.
And then the library hosts a lot of like podcast kind of panels, that kind of thing. So there are panels in other places.
Alicia is wondering if the library panels are badged.
I don't know. We go over this every year. I do know that they're like
the
conferences. The educator ones are for sure not badged. Right. I think, I don't know. Honestly, if you want to go to one of the library panels and you don't have a badge for that day, what I would do is I would actually like pick up the phone and call the central library because, hey, they're a library. They deal in information. They might have some for you.
They might.
Yes. And they've been, anytime I've ever called the library over there, they've been incredibly helpful. So if you want to go to something over there and you don't have a badge for that day, literally like my suggestion is call the library.
Yeah. So are we going to move on to Sunday now?
Yes.
Okay. Sunday is, of course, lighter and shorter because the con closes at 5 and both Indigo and Ballroom 20 are closed. So those rooms are not used at all on Sunday of Comic-Con. We're going to kick it off again in room 7AB, which again seats 480. And at 10 a.m., the first panel is Pop Culture and the Christian Church. And this will feature Brendan Prout, Joe Queen, Alexander James, Eric Jansen, and Kyle Keene. And it is going to be discussing the church and comics. At 11 a.m., we have School for Good and Evil, soon to be a Netflix movie, which is coming out in September. And this features Soman Chianani. We'll give an exclusive look behind the series that started it all and some one-of-a-kind merch giveaways and other special surprises. Then at 12, we have Magical Middle Grade. And this is going to feature Tracy Baddow, Soman Chianani, Shannon Messenger, Lila Sturgis, and Kirsten White. They're going to share the joys of writing middle grade stories and the importance of books that show a younger generation ready to take on the world. At 1 p.m., we have How to Navigate the Bookish Web, and that features a group of people talk about how they engage with their readers and share their stories and connect with fellow writers across Book Talk, Bookstagram, and beyond. And then at 2 p.m., we have the VFX of Doctor Who, You Can Do This, which features the moderator Jeffrey Mark and special effects luminaries Jim Davidson, Ian Hunter, Tom Greep, and Chris Simons. And basically, they're going to watch some Doctor Who clips, and then will be challenged to recreate those effects using household items and tools. And then they will share tips of how you can do stuff at home yourself. And that Kim from Outside Comic-Con says she went to this last time and that it was a riot. So that sounds like a lot of fun.
I just want to mention Sunday is Kids Day. So there's a lot of panels like this where like you can make stuff or do stuff. So something like this also would be really fun to take your kiddos to.
Yes. So after that, we have Blade Runner 40th Anniversary, which features author Paul M. Shannon, and David L. Snyder and Charles de Lazarica. And they're going to talk about the visuals from, they're basically just going to talk about the movie and, how it got made and all that kind of stuff. Is anything in this room looking like it's going to fill up, or is it basically going to be come and go? I mean, if we talk about that Doctor Who thing enough, it might fill up because it sounds like a lot of fun.
It's all so different though. Like,
yeah, I don't feel like there's a lot of crossover here. I mean, maybe in some of the book stuff, but I don't think the book stuff's going to fill up.
It says that School for Good and Evil is set to be one of Netflix's biggest fantasy films, and it stars Charlize Theron, Kerry Washington, Lawrence Fishburne, and Michelle Yeoh. But they're not listed as attending. It looks like it's just going to be the producer.
Yes, it does have a giveaway though.
But it does have a giveaway, and it is
special surprises.
Right. So that one, if you definitely want to see some sneak peeks and such at this, make sure you're there before the panel starts. But I don't think anything's going to be really hard to get into.
No, I don't think you're gonna have too much trouble getting into any of this. Like James said, I mean, maybe that Doctor Who panel maybe show up like 30 minutes before, but I think you're probably fine.
Right. So we are going to move on to room 60E with Carrie.
All right. In 60E, we start the day off at 10 a.m. with Next Gen Nerds with the McElroys. And this is Clint and Travis McElroy of the Adventure Zone. And they will be hosting a conversation about the challenges and responsibilities of influencing the next generation of nerds. With some other folks who are involved in some of their projects, and also someone from G4 TV. At 11:15 a.m. is actor Omar Epps, who is sharing a first look at Afrofuturist fantasy series Nubia the Awakening. You will get a first look at this powerful saga about 3 teenage refugees from a fallen African utopia who must navigate newfound powers in a climate-ravaged New York City. At 12:30 is Comixology Scotttober West Coast Edition, which features some awesome folks, including Scott Snyder, Tula Lote, Jamal Eagle, Dan Panosian, for a discussion on their recent Comixology originals. At 1:45 is Bringing Marvel's Superhero Team to Life onto the big screen, which features Jessica Song talking to production designers, fight choreographers, stuntmen, and prop makers about the joys of bringing your favorite superheroes to life. At 3 o'clock is UFO Fact and Fiction, which will have former USAF Special Agent Walter Bosley to lead a group of panelists as they explore UFO sightings from a historic perspective in comparison to the phenomenon as depicted in films, TV, and comics. So, I mean, this room is small. It only holds 884. So I do think there's a little bit of potential maybe for the McElroys, because the Adventure Zone is a big deal. And maybe that Omar Epps panel to fill up. And that Comixology one also has some very good people on it. So honestly, I would say if you want to go to any of the first, say, 4 panels of the day, which is all the way through that Marvel one, I would maybe show up maybe an hour early, just because it is a small room. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't need to. None of these, it looks like they're going to need too long of a lineup at all.
No, but it is a small room.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, the McElroys are a very big deal.
But it's also Sunday where a lot of people just kind of chill, and the panels are definitely lighter attended.
Especially earlier in the morning.
Earlier in the morning.
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe 30 minutes then, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't think any of these are going to be like super crowded. But yeah, if you are worried, again, like Carrie says, up to an hour, but I definitely wouldn't camp there all day if you need one later in the day, because it's going to be enough turnover that you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's do 6A, Aaron.
6A. Starting at 10:30 in the morning, we have Marvel, Women of Marvel. The women of Marvel are here. What is it like for women working in the industry today? And what is next for Marvel's women-led titles? Writer and podcast host Angelique Roche is going to lead a lively discussion with Lauren Bissam and Nick Stone. 11:45, Cartoon Voices 2. This is part 2 of the one from yesterday. Also going to be led by Mark Evanier. This is going to have a different group of voice actors, and it sounds like they're going to be reading a classic fairy tale that will never be the same after these people get through with it. And Jim Meskimen from Thundercats, Grey Delisle from Scooby-Doo, whole roster of great people. 1:30 to 2:30, Middle Earth Way Back When, Expanding the Second Age. This is Lord of the Rings experts from around the world diving into the mythology of Middle Earth, analyzing the lore of the Second Age, and how Amazon's new Rings of Power will fit into the Tolkien's legendarium. And that's going to have quite a few people from, quite a few historians, experts, Tolkien professor, some folks from the OneRing.net, folks that know what they're talking about. 2:45 to 4:45 is one of the more fun panels for the whole weekend. This is the Starship Smackdown, and which has been featured on NPR's All Things Considered and spotlighted in the San Diego Register. The Ultimate Galactic Conflagration, which began in 2002. So this would make it the 20th year, 2 decades of going ship to ship, basically, in science fiction, and seeing which one will reign supreme. And that's it. That's closing out the day, isn't it?
That is.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
Basically, the Cartoon Voices and the Starship Smackdown are the 2 big panels of the day.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to either one of those, make sure you're in the panel before.
Yep. And
you should be fine. So I wouldn't worry about if you want to go to Starship Smackdown, don't worry about Cartoon Voices being full, because the room should empty out.
And the room does hold just over 1,000 people, 1,040.
And so plenty of people will be coming and going for each of those panels. So I would not expect it to need to worry about it, but definitely get there during the panel before.
Yeah, for those 2. Yeah, completely agree. All right, let's do 6 BCF, James.
All right. Starting at 10:15 with I Hear Voices with Will Friedle and Christy Carlson Romano. And they will be there to basically do a version of their podcast, I think. But they're going to be talking about, there actually says they're going to be joined by surprise guests and talk about the fun aspects of the animation industry. So they do a podcast, and they're basically going to do a version on a panel. At 11:30, it's Behind the Bricks with Lego Entertainment. And this is one I think that was listed on Saturday originally, and it's moved to Sunday.
Yes.
And it's basically a sneak peek of upcoming Lego animation specials and Lego Masters. At 12:45, we have a screening of Lightyear. Yes, that movie that was just in theaters and still probably is showing at Comic-Con at 12:45 to 2:45 in this room. And then after that, at 3 p.m. is the annual Once More with Feeling interactive Whedonverse musical. So basically, you get to show up and you get to sing along and whatever else you want to do with the Buffy Once More with Feeling, dance in the aisles or whatever, I guess. So that is it for this. I'm guessing that, I don't know. I mean, is anything going to fill up this room?
I don't think so. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I guess maybe if 2,000 plus people haven't seen Lightyear and want to see it for free, now is your chance.
I mean, it was
weird.
A good place to bring,
kids.
If you have kids and somebody is waiting for something in Hall H in the afternoon and the kids need some quiet time.
Yeah, there's no childcare this year.
This is their version of childcare.
Yeah, there you go. Get those kids in a seat and take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So because this is Sunday, Indigo, Ballroom, and Ballroom 20 are not used. And we had some questions earlier saying like, oh my God, it's because it's to Lightyear. No, these 2 rooms are like never open on Sunday. So that's not new.
Can you explain why they're not open? I mean, Masquerade. One of them is.
I mean, the Masquerade probably has something to do with it, but I also think just Sunday is a much lighter schedule, so I just don't think they need the space. James, correct me if you think
that's basically it. Yeah, they just they don't have as much stuff that they're going to put in there, so they don't. They'd rather fill up like Hall H. They'd rather fill that up with some TV stuff instead of trying to reset the Ballroom 20 from the Masquerade.
Yep. And speaking of Hall H, because we talked about this earlier, I don't think everybody knows this, but on Sunday they actually pull some chairs from Hall H.
They've been doing that, yes. I don't know if they're going to keep doing that every time, but they have on Sunday pulled some chairs, so it actually only seats around 5,000 or so. So, I mean, you can check when you go into Hall H. If you go in on Sunday, just look at the back of the room, and if there's a bunch of empty space, they pulled some chairs this year.
If you can break dance back there, they pulled the chairs.
All right.
Let's talk about what's in there then. Hall H is going to start at noon that day, a little bit later start, and you're going to get Mayans, MC, screening, and Q&A. Well, I don't think they left anybody out of the cast. It sounds like they're bringing absolutely everybody for this, moderated by IndieWire's Jim Hemphill, and it's going to be a special screening and a live conversation. Like I said, with everybody.
Literally the entire cast.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's like a dozen people. After that, from 1:15 to 2:15, What We Do in the Shadows, exclusive screening and a Q&A. What can I say about What We Do in the Shadows? This has almost everybody listed.
What I'm curious about, though, so I'm going to talk about this for a second, is they list Natasha, who plays Nadia. However, there was that article that came out like from that interview with Mark Prosch, which said she wasn't going to be there. So I'm very curious on the day to see if she's there or not.
So either Mark doesn't know what he's talking
subject
about.
To change, right?
It does subject to change. Yes.
Yes, it does. But she is currently still in bold. So like I said, I'm curious to see if that changes.
Yes. And they are going to be playing a brand new episode. Is it starting before Comic-Con or is it starting after Comic-Con? The new season?
It starts Tuesday, I think.
Okay. So
it'll be the second episode.
It'll be the second episode.
It starts,
Okay.
Or no, it'd be the third.
Third?
Math is hard.
It would be the third.
Tuesday.
If it starts this Tuesday, then it'll be the 19th.
Another Tuesday.
Yes, it would be the third.
Yeah.
Whichever one they're showing, it will show up on Hulu soon after.
Yes.
So you get to see it early.
Yes, but it will be the third.
And then after that, closing out the day, 2:30, Funko Pop Talk Live. Funko hosts Brian and Mike are taking over, but they're bringing some celebrity guests with them, including Rosario Dawson, Simu Liu, and William Zabka.
And they're going to build themselves as custom Funkos during the panel, apparently. That sounds like fun, watching them building some pops. This is Funko's first time in Hall H. It's going to be interesting. So we'll talk about that as we talk about the room flow, which is, I don't think Hall H is going to fill up unless enough Funko fanatics are still left on Sunday and not in line for the booth and come into this room to watch the panel. But also, Simu Liu and Rosario Dawson and, of course, William Zabka will all have their own fans who will want to see them.
For sure. But also, I feel like a lot of people, like, honestly, by 2:30 on Sunday, a lot of folks have left, as crazy as that is to, you and me. So I'm with you. I don't think any of these are going to be too hard to get into.
Typically, you've been able to walk right in for, when they were doing the Sons of Anarchy panels, like it was an easy walk in. Yeah.
I mean, they had, I think it was Mayans and Legion in there one year, and both of those were both walk in as well. I would not expect.
Even with the fan base that What We Do in the Shadows has, I can't imagine.
I don't think any of these are
not at 1:15 on Sunday. Yeah.
No, not in Hall H.
No.
If this was an Indigo, it'd be a different story. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want, obviously, of course, if you want near the front of the room, you're going to have to get there early. But I would not say that you need to get there early to attend any of these if you want to just get in the room. If you hear of, if you hear of it filling up during what we do in the shadows because Funko is coming up, then yeah, head on over early. But other than that, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yep.
So which leads me to answer a few questions which we had in the chat, just covering over again the Hall H wristband scenario, which is, of course, once you get a wristband, you're free to leave. If no one's saving your spot, when you come back, you have to go to the end of the wristband line. The wristband is essentially supposed to be your guarantee of getting in for the first panel of the day. If someone does save your spot, you just rejoin them. And that's really the main thing, you know, is getting the wristband. Once you have the wristband, it's up to you what you do and where you want to, you know, how early you want to get into the room.
And you can certainly seat hop when you get in there. You might start out in the back and you might hop your way up to the first third, especially if you're in a small group of one or two. You don't need like 17 chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, that's not going to happen really on Saturday.
No.
But in other days, yeah, you can move up as the panels go through. If you get there early and you want to move around, that's absolutely possible. Here you go. Felicia Nicole asks, what if we are in Hall H and are hungry or need to use the restroom? Well, good luck to you. No, I'm just kidding. There's actually bathrooms in Hall H at the back and the side. I think the women's is on the side near the front and the men's is in the back. And there is food that is enclosed in the Hall H lobby. So you just go outside, get some food and come back inside. It is con food. So it's like, you know, hot dogs and nachos and things like that. But there is food there. They do offer for smokers. They do offer a pass. There is a way to exit the enclosed area where you can get a pass, but you have to come back during that panel you left. There is no like extended walkabout for the rest of the day and then come back for Marvel at the end of the day. You won't get back in with the little ticket that they give you for first WB. If you leave during WB, you got to come back during WB. So it's basically really good for just getting something besides con food. So if you want to go to Starbucks, that's your way to do it. If you want to grab a smoke, if you want to go to the bathroom where there isn't that long line that may be in the back there, that's what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just do what a lot of us do and just bring your own food. If you're going to be there all day, bring food and snacks.
Yeah.
On food will do it in a pinch, but only in a pinch, unless we're talking about the Auntie Anne's pretzels.
Apparently, they also have
We
cheese
could live
pizza
those.
too. So they have all kinds of con food. So there you go. So let's do dark horses, right? Unless you want to answer that junior badges question.
Sure, I'll answer the junior badge question. So Heather Met asked, any update on the link for junior badges? Okay, so here's my link. We know somebody who is actually on our team who for sure got the link to do their child badge. So far, she seems to be the only one. So when she got her link, I posted like, hey, they're sending them. But now I've had like so many people being like, wait, what? But we didn't get ours. So I don't really understand how she's like magical and got her link when nobody else seems to.
Diligent, very diligent.
But she wasn't. I'm like, I know way more people.
I thought she had been emailing.
Oh my God, no. I have had people emailing me like weekly updates about like, well, CCI like still hasn't said anything. Even though I asked like 2 more times last week. No, there's people who have followed up way more times who have heard nothing. So I don't know. Again, it does like exist.
It's just
I just don't know when they're going to do it for the rest of people. I wish I had a better update than that. Like I have faith that they will do it at some point between now and
10 days.
Comic-Con, between now and Comic-Con,
yeah.
but as far as like when, like I don't know. So
yeah.
That's my update.
Oh, and yes, Riverdale is canceled. It's not on the schedule, is it?
Yes.
That means it's
no.
canceled.
Yes. That is correct.
Or
Yeah.
never was going to happen? Or who knows?
They announced it. I think it probably was going to happen. But
Yeah, WB themselves announced it.
Yes. So I think it was for sure going to happen. And then for whatever reason, it didn't. I think WB TV at the con moving forward is just going to look very different. Considering what's going on with CW right now. So yes.
You want to answer any other questions or you want me to move on.
Sure. I'm going to answer one more question. Sam Maria's asked, are we getting any movie premieres? I mean, there is that premiere for Prey that Collider's doing. I think you can still submit for tickets.
I think it closes tomorrow, maybe. Don't quote me on that, but it closes sometime in the next day or two or a few days.
Yes.
You didn't have to do it like that day. It did have a few days to do it.
Yes. So go find that post if you haven't assigned to that yet. And just in general for offsites, guys, like I think there are going to be so many offsites still to be announced here in the next week or so. I mean, I think we personally know of like at least 4. And I'm expecting stuff that we also haven't heard officially on. So
yeah,
it's going to be a big week for offsites and exclusives now that the panel schedule is up. Yeah.
I wanted to mention for those who have the time and have something to say, Comic-Con Talkback is in room 23 ABC at 3:30 p.m. That is the people who run Comic-Con, and typically it's Robin Donlin, the president of Comic-Con, and David Glanzer, the marketing. He has a title, I can't remember it right now, but he's the marketing guy and the main guy, the one you see talking all the time.
Like
on the news. Director of Communications, right. And then also typically Eddie Ibrahim, Director of Programming, is there. And I think there may be 1 or 2 other people that show up depending on their availability, but those 3 are typically the ones that are there most often. And it is your chance to say the good and the bad and ask questions about and what they can improve on or what they did right. And I would definitely suggest that if you have something to say about how things were run this year, that you go and tell them whether it was good or bad, because good stuff needs to be told and the bad stuff does too.
Yep. All right, let's do our Dark Horse picks. Erin, let's start with you again.
Yes, only one for me again. I picked Food and Fandom carried us through. This is 10 to 11 over at the Marriott Grand Ballroom number 10 and 11. Celebrity chefs discuss with Jessica Sang their passion for fandom and why trying new foods while sharpening our kitchen skills was such a major fixture in our lives during stay at home. This sounds fascinating to me just after seeing everybody I knew baking bread and learning new skills during the pandemic time. Plus, I am interested in these celebrity chefs. So it sounds nice. Sounds like a good way to start.
It sounds, honestly, when I saw this, I thought it sounded like they usually do a panel every year with Duff Goldman, I think, the Cake Boss guy. And I was like, I feel like this is that panel and maybe just he is not coming. So instead they got somebody else. But yeah, I mean, it should be a good time. My Dark Horse pick is from 1:45 to 2:45 in room 58B is Sesame Street Mecha Builders. And basically the Sesame Street Muppets got supersized into CGI animated characters for the newest series. They've got some different folks. Typically when they do Sesame Street panels, I mean, they often bring the puppets. I realize this is CGI, but they might. And I also wanted to point out that there are signings with Cookie Monster and Elmo in the sales pavilion.
Nice.
So if you would like to go meet Cookie Monster, go look at that signing schedule. And in reality, that's why I put this on here, is I just wanted to say you can go meet Cookie Monster. Okay, James.
All right, so here's my stack of, once again, these two caught my attention because I think they're right after each other. Yeah, they are. This is room 11 at noon, effective expressions for your characters. And this is Ron Lehman is going to do a lecture on how basically the science of skin and muscles underneath it and how you can use it to change expressions. And it sounds very sciencey and cool, and combining it with art. And that is the same thing that's happening right after that at 1 p.m. with Draw with Dr. Zhu. And that is Wei Zhu, is a PhD artist, mathematician, computer scientist, and author. Is going to give a lecture basically again on ABC, which is angle-based constructive method of observational drawing. And again, it just sounds cool. Smart people talking about art. In room 4 at 4 p.m., we have Bill Finger, Rise of the Bat. And this is going to be select readings from the play, Bill Finger, Rise of the Bat, that is going to debut with limited runs in New York, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania. and it's going to feature Athena Finger, Lenny Schwartz, Rick Stafford, and Paul Rose Jr. They're going to talk about it, do some readings, and have a Q&A about Bill Finger, who, if you don't know, is basically the guy who co-created Batman and finally got credit as the co-creator in 2015, long after he passed away penniless. So
and I also just would say, I really like that we're getting like a bunch of theater stuff this year. Like, I mean, I may be the only one who cares, but I'm into it. So
every aspect of culture / pop culture will soon be a part of Comic-Con.
Mhm.
I mean,
bring on the theater
eventually,
stuff.
everything. This one I thought was cool was 29AB at 3 p.m. is Pac-Man, Birth of an Icon. And this is author Tim Lepatino, who discusses his book, Pac-Man, Birth of an Icon, and how basically that little yellow guy is awesome. At 11 a.m. and 24 ABC, we have World Building for Film and Television. And it features Aldous Hodge, who you may have seen or not been able to see previously the day before on the Black Adam panel. Will be there along with concept artists Philip Boutte Jr. and Michael Uwandi, the co-founders of 9B Collective, the first Black-owned concept art studio to discuss the business of designing characters and creatures and worlds for the screen. This one is interesting. This is an annual panel, actually, but it's interesting. One of the people that they got to be on the panel, which is how to create your own novel, at 1 p.m. and 25 ABC. This features the Winter Twins, and they have some authors you would expect to see on there, like Todd McCaffrey and Shannon McGuire and David Silver, but also Chris Jericho, the wrestler, who is also a New York Times bestselling author. So I thought that was interesting that we're going to get a wrestler on the author panel. I think that's pretty cool. And then the Jack Kirby tribute panel at 10 a.m. and 5 AB will feature Frank Miller, among others. This is the Kirby panel hosted by Mark Evanier. And if you can't catch Frank Miller earlier in the con on his spotlight or something like that, this is a good chance to see what he thinks of Kirby, which is, Kirby is basically the inspiration for a ton of comic book artists working today. So you can see, and Frank Miller is also an inspiration for a ton of people, and you can see the inspiration behind the inspiration. And finally, all day in room 9 from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the San Diego International Children's Film Festival, where they will be showing short films from around the world and also have filmmakers there to talk about them the entire day. So you can stop in and watch some stuff when you need a break. Take your kids if your kids are coming. And if you don't want to see Lightyear, here's your chance to see some other stuff and see some short films for kids. I think that's it. I'm done.
So there's several questions in the chat that I would like to get to here in a second. But first, I just kind of want to talk about just general thoughts on this schedule. So very obviously, we didn't have a convention for 2 years. We had a pandemic. I don't think it's like a huge shock to anyone that Comic-Con, like everyone has been financially hit, or that things are changing in the world. People have scaled back things. So having said all of that, I am thoroughly impressed with this schedule.
Yes.
I feel like this is probably 85%, maybe even 90% of like what it normally is.
Yes.
I mean, maybe we have like one fewer movie studio coming or something along those lines, but for the most part, I mean, this feels like a pretty normal schedule. And the stuff that doesn't feel normal is like the stuff that Comic-Con has nothing to do with. Like the fact that there's no WB TV stuff really is weird, but that's not on Comic-Con. That's on Warner Brothers is going through a merger and having all kinds of other things. I mean, we've got Marvel Studios, we've got WB, there's so many good panels. Like I Love TV, there's a whole bunch of awesome stuff this year. I'm just really impressed.
There's
James?
dozens of comic panels every day, basically.
Yeah.
I think on Saturday, I just did a quick count, and there's well over 30 comic panels just on Saturday alone that have comics as a tag. And there may be more because they didn't get tagged with comics, but they may be involving comics in some way. I mean, you think about it, comics are involved in virtually almost every single panel that's at Comic-Con, because that movie that you're going to go watch probably was based on a comic or a book. So, I mean, it's involved in some way. Comics are still it's in the name, and they're still part of the show. I was looking through it. I mean, I'm one of those people who actually goes through and reads not necessarily 100% of every word in the schedule, but I look at every panel on the schedule. And there is, Aaron and I were talking about this, there is a massive amount of creativity from all aspects, panels on this schedule. And I know that they do that normally, but I think that it's just more, it just seems like it might be more this time where,
I agree. And there seems to be more, it's not just showing off your creativity, it's sharing your skills with other creators, trying to inspire other creators to look at things differently or to do things differently. There's a lot of tutorial type panels.
Yeah, just all aspects of it. I mean,
a lot of educational things.
Just the random stuff, like you're going to get lectures, you're going to get how-tos, you're going to get people, like there's a few of the kids ones where they're going to actually sit down with kids and help them draw like a comic book cover or create a character. I mean, there's just so much stuff that no matter what you want to do, there's likely going to be something for you to do in a panel at Comic-Con. So the schedule is great. I mean, it's essentially,
I think it's
Comic-Con
the best.
is normal.
I think it's the best that we could ask for.
Yes.
After 2 years and after knowing that there are some companies not willing to put their talent at risk or just they're not up to the level where they can bring stuff to bring things to show people. I think it's the best that we could ask for, and it's really quite good.
And it's going to give you a chance if you have a light day where normally you might be in a certain panel for some movies on Friday, but now those movies aren't showing up. Go find something else. Go look at some stuff in the smaller panels. See something that might interest you that you normally be like, well, I can't make it to that because I got the movie panel I have to wait in line 5 hours for. Now you can see 5 different panels.
Well, and I actually, what you just said, I just wanted to point out. So I do those program highlights posts, and I looked back at 2019's. There is actually more movie stuff on Friday this year than there was in 2019. So I just wanted to mention that for anybody who's like, Friday is so light on movies. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's heavier than it was in 2019.
Right. So any day that you pick that you normally would do something and that thing is not showing up this year, use it as an opportunity to go see something else. Because this panel schedule is packed. There is no lack of stuff to do or see. I mean, it's crazy actually that they managed to get it. I mean, I know you said it's like 80 or 90%. I think it's in volume. I mean, it may be shorter a little bit because they did open some rooms later, but I think in general content, I think that it's all basically the same. I don't think that they had any lack, except, I mean, the only real, like you said, the only real thing missing is WBTV, which normally brought like 15 shows. So yeah, you're going to miss that.
Yes, for sure. But like I said, that has nothing whatsoever to do with Comic-Con. It has everything to do with the state of WBTV at this moment.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's a really great schedule. I think Comic-Con should be commended for putting this together. We don't always give them props, but for this, like, they definitely deserve props. This is a fantastic year, and I cannot wait to go back. Real quick, I wanted to get to some questions in the chat. The portal. So I think it was JG. I don't see it right now. Somebody said, yes, JG said the CCI exclusives portal is updated now with tabs for settings versus exclusives. So I just checked. At least for me, it is not fixed. What they've done is they have added tabs. So for those who were like, well, what are these signings? Because all it does is list a name. Basically now, if you go click on that, it will tell you like who is actually signing for the most part. So like people were like, well, what is that DC's Gotham panelist? Like, this tells you. But as far as I can tell, like I said, at least for me, this is not fixed. Somebody else about the portal asked, what is that Ozzy Osbourne signing? Well, this also tells you Ozzy Osbourne with special guest Todd McFarlane is signing at Stern Pinball, Rebellion, Republic, Metal Merch. And because Aaron also asked me, well, why is Ozzy Osbourne there? I was like, you know what? We had a little tidbit in Under the Tents back in June about him collaborating with Todd McFarlane. He made the illustrations for Ozzy's last music video. So if you read all the editions of Under the Tents
and could remember them,
maybe you would have known that. Yeah. All right. What other questions do we have? Felicia said, I'm a first timer and I'm not upset at the panels. I say you should not be. This is a fantastic schedule. CBDC Diva asked, will they be enforcing masks? Yes, masks are required. You also will have to get a wristband, either showing that you are fully vaccinated, which just means 2 doses, does not include the boosters, or if you had J&J or one of the other 1 doses, 1 dose, again, doesn't mean any of the boosters, or you can have a negative test taken within 72 hours of when you go to get your wristband. All that information is on our site. Do you see any other questions? JG, yes, but stop putting that in the chat because I'm not allowed to say that. And I think that's it. Fan and party tickets? No, I don't know when they're going to go up.
All right.
We have a lot of
So-
unknowns yet.
Yes.
We made a whole
This-
list of them yesterday.
This next week, you can expect to get a lot of news, and a lot of these questions that you're asking will have answers. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them will.
Yes, there will be so much information here in the next week.
So
Like so much.
So
I'm
much.
If you have us
dreading
on
it.
Twitter, if you have us on Twitter notifications, your phone's going to be going off constantly.
yes. Xavier, are we expecting a huge Lucas Pavilion? Of course. It's on the map. They're going to be there. There's going to be, again, like
Yes.
15 different vendors inside that pavilion. So yes, it will be the standard Lucasfilm Pavilion. Who knows what they're going to bring to show off? Because sometimes they have displays of like costumes and stuff. We don't know what the extras are going to be, but they're going to have the usual amount of like massive amounts of vendors inside the pavilion. Anything else? If you don't see the answer on our site, that means there is likely not an answer to be had.
Does
So if you
anyone-
go and look on like for the person who asked about the D&D offsite, when will it open the reservations? If you go look on our post about it on the site and you don't see an answer, that means we don't know. And that means they haven't announced it. So we'll
It's-
put it on
yeah.
there as soon as they announce it. We'll update that with it. So, and we'll tweet it out. So a lot of these things, we just don't have answers because everybody's slow. This
Everybody's
year,
slow, and this year,
everybody's
everybody. I mean, even in a good year, like this week was going to be nuts, but so many people are so far behind that I think Aaron and I are just literally going to be dead by Friday. So we're not going to Comic-Con, Aaron.
No.
'Cause we're gonna be dead. So
Congratulations, Comic-Con. You killed us.
yeah, so gonna be a good time. But yeah, there's gonna be a ton of news this week. So for anybody who has been saying, this year feels light, again, have you looked at the schedule? Are you sure? And number 2, let's see if you still say that on Friday.
Mhm.
So I feel like everybody forgets every single year, like just how much stuff comes out at the last minute. Like, and it's been 3 years. So now like everyone has forgotten that even more.
Mhm. Yep. And we've got the receipts to prove it since
Yes,
we've been
we do.
keeping spreadsheets for about the last 4 or 5 years of conventions of what days things are released. So sometimes things are very late.
Yep. And Eleanor Grace said, so I'm just hearing I'm not going to get any real work done this week. I'll just be on
Mhm.
Twitter. Yep. That's what the
This is
week before
correct.
Comic-Con is like.
Yes.
Yeah, I take the days of Comic-Con off, and my brain takes the days of the week before Comic-Con off with all of the planning and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah. Okay. So attendee of the week. We have one final one before con, the last one.
Yes, we have one more this upcoming Friday. So if you have not submitted and you want to be featured on our site, do it now.
And then we'll start it again some other time next year.
Next year. I don't know.
We'll see. If you still need badges, of course, there is eBay where Comic-Con is selling badges to benefit the museum. Those will end on the 19th, if I remember correctly. So if you need a badge, also remember that the exclusives portal, if you get a badge from eBay through Comic-Con, the portal will be available to you, but you have to get your badges before it closes on Friday. So if you were planning to buy the badges, but you were waiting for to see what the prices were doing, buy it sometime before Friday, because then you can actually get in on the exclusives portal. And then we have a contest hub on the site, which I think only has one contest. If you live in San Diego, keep an eye and an ear on radio stations and TV stations and such, because they tend to have badges that they hand out.
Okay, but hold on. I want to mention the contest that's up there is I think we actually have two, because one of the contests is you can win tickets through us to Wootstout, which is sold out. And I think that contest ends either Tuesday or Wednesday this week. So if
All
you're
right.
not signed up, do that.
There you go. I think that's it. Keep an eye out all around Comic-Con during Comic-Con for Adventures of Prize Mule on Twitter. We'll be giving stuff away.
From a whole bunch of companies, which I'm
A
going to
whole
shout
bunch of
out
companies.
real quick. I'm sorry. Bandai Namco Toys and Collectibles America, Committed Comics, Cryptozoic Entertainment, Diamond Select Toys, Entertainment Earth, Factory Entertainment, Hasbro, Kid Robot, Mondo, NECA, Pop Minded by Hallmark, Priscilla Wilson, also known as Volume, Skybound, Symbiote Studios, Toddland, Twink. I have to think about that every time now. UCC Distributing, USA Opoly, Viz, Yesterdays. Yeah. So it's going to be a good time. Follow us on Twitter. We'll post all the details there. But basically, we tweet where the mule is. You come and you find the mule. You're first, you win. Yay.
It's exciting. I'm very excited.
It is exciting.
Charles Lay asked in the chat, my friend just tore her ACL. Will she be able to get into the ADA line for Hall H? Any tips on how she can maximize her Comic-Con experience? Go to Hall, is it in Hall A? Hall B?
I think it's A, but don't quote me on that.
It's between Hall A and Hall B. It's a area there in the lobby is where the ADA information is. You can go there and get an ADA sticker, and you will be able to use the ADA line for Hall H. And
Yep.
I think Ballroom 20 has one.
Yes, they for sure do.
And I think a lot of the different areas have them. So you just basically go and ask where it is, and they will be able to make use of it and not have to walk around as much. There's also rest areas in that ballroom lobby. In the Hall A lobby. There's like seating areas, and so go there, and they will fill you in all the details that will help your friend be able to take care of stuff.
Karen Session in the chat confirmed that it is Hall A.
Hall A.
Trope Force said some of the hotel prices coming up on Peak again are crazy. Yeah, so I think because On Peak has sent the information now to the hotels, basically what's on Peak now is just like
I think
just
it's their
rack
own
rate.
their own personal inventory.
Yes, it's no
just
longer
rack
con
rate
rate
now. It's rack
No.
rate.
No.
Yes. Yeah. So the discounts are over. If you stayed at the Omni, are staying at the Omni, you should probably check your credit card statement to see if you got billed. We posted about all that drama yesterday. That was fun and a lot of calls with the Omni. Xavier Behavior asked, is the fandom 21 over? Is fandom 2021 over? Yes, because this is 2022. Have they posted tickets for 2022?
Is it
No.
is it for adults only?
No, Phantom tickets have not yet gone up.
Is it for 21 and up though? Did we answer that?
Oh,
No.
is it 21 over? Is it?
It probably is because they serve alcohol, right?
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know the answer to that question now.
We'll look at one of the past ones, and we can find out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that. JG asked, super scared about CCI official merch not being up. What's the over under it happens this year? I don't know. I mean, Comic-Con is so delayed. I mean, I would think that if they were going to do pre-orders, it would have needed to have happened before this. But maybe they just have like so much merch and maybe they're just going to like toss it up online. I don't know.
We don't know.
They did have at WonderCon, didn't they have a booth where they had some
Yes.
discounted previous merchandise?
Yes, and they also, it is worth noting, I mean, they had like new merch as well for WonderCon. It wasn't just the old merch, but yes, they did have
Right.
discounted old merch as well. So I do think there will be merch. I think the question is whether or not they put it up for pre-sale.
And maybe with room in the convention center, maybe they're just going to do on-site sales. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like there would be room.
Right. So Marceline's asked, is there a different process for ADA to get wristbands for Hall H? The process is the same. The line is different. It is next to the building itself. So when you head over to that area, just ask someone where the ADA line is for Hall H, and they will direct you to it. But the process is the same. You get a wristband. They only hand out a certain number of wristbands. It's just a smaller quantity because that line will be a smaller line. I don't know what the quantity is. Okay.
Someone's looking to get blocked here. Sir Lister's asking your favorite question, Carrie.
You know what? I will take that honestly over like the portal isn't working for me. Yeah, I know it's not working for anybody. Thanks for sharing that.
No, that's your other favorite question.
But is the portal not working for real if you don't actually tweet about it? If you don't tell the world that the portal isn't working, is the portal actually not working? You have to put it out in the world.
I mean, I wish they would fix it as well, but it's the
Me too.
weekend. I mean, clearly they're doing something because they just added tabs. So it's in process. Honestly,
some of us have worse problems than the portal.
Yeah.
Some of us don't have our badge codes yet.
So here's the deal. Comic-Con International is always slow to announce anything. Like they'll put up stuff and then maybe they'll like be like 2 days later be like, oh yeah, we need to like tell people we did that. But I feel like in this case, they are probably very glad that they did not announce that the portal is open. It just opened and we and other people noticed. But my guess is that when Comic-Con International finally like sends an email or tweets or does something to say like, hey, the portal's up, at that point it will be working. Maybe not.
We hope.
Mostly.
Yeah, that's my guess.
And straight to VHS asked the question that I was actually going to talk about next, and that is there another Concast before SDCC starts, or is this it? There's one more, and it's this Tuesday, the final SDConCast before Comic-Con. It's basically just going to be us talking about all of the news that has come out in the last week, because we didn't talk about any news really.
Yeah.
No, it's just 1 week. We actually were on Tuesday.
Okay, all right.
It's been 2 weeks worth of Comic-Con time doing all this schedule stuff.
Oh my God.
And I haven't yet received my invitation to that podcast, so I'll just sit over here and wait.
You will not be getting an invitation
because
we invited Andy.
Yeah.
I might crash it.
Oh,
what are you gonna do about it?
Nothing.
Yeah, but you're welcome to. Yeah, if you want to come on, do it.
But yes, that's the last one. It's going to be on Tuesday, the 26th at our normal 6:30 time, and it will be. And then, sorry, not the 26th. It will be next. It'll be in 2 days, whatever that is, the 12th. Yeah. But then we'll be back on the 26th after Comic-Con for our wrap-up show.
If we make it.
If we make it.
If Aaron and I survive the next week, which is questionable. Somebody in the chat said Carrie should just show her dumpster fire at this point. So yeah, I think the podcast on Tuesday, you guys do it, and like this can stand in for me. And I just like won't be here.
That's just you.
Done.
I'm surprised you didn't get the chicken one. The chicken dumpster. You need that.
I thought about it. I did.
How many dumpsters do you really need, though?
That's right. Aaron's
10?
like, there's
8? 22?
I don't know. I have like 20 or something. 15. I don't know.
That's funny.
A bunch of them.
All right. Newsletter coming out on Tuesday, Carrie?
Yes.
Or thereabouts?
Yes. I sent all the information over to our graphic designer this morning. I think she actually did it today, but it will be out on Tuesday. The only one in question is the week after, and I need to talk to her about that at some point.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, there was the Thursday and Friday podcast for the schedule that we just did on Friday. You can go listen to that. And then there's this one, which you just listened to, or you came in really late on the live feed. So hello. But go back and listen to it. Aaron, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me at Bavarian Aaron. Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon, and mostly you can find me on the blog Twitter. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am everywhere at Dan Regal, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for links and photos and all that kind of stuff of myself and my wife, Beth, who is our producer. She edits the show, gets it into your ears, and does things like slides on the other shows. And you can check out her Instagram, Trekkie Beth, and check out all the photos she posts. She just posted some from 2019, the Marvel panel, since Thor's out. So you can check out some photos there.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, links are up in the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes. And then I also just wanted to mention we have a Patreon. So if you appreciate the work that we've done all season long to bring you Comic-Con news, we would love if you could support us through that. I mean, even $1 or $5 definitely helps keep the lights on over here. And we make no money. All the money we make goes back into the site and giveaways for you guys and all kinds of fun stuff.
And if you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll see you at Comic-Con. And everybody,
Go
Schwarma!
Are you okay?